Module 11, we're going to model this sculpture right here, and it might look a little bit complicated at first, but actually the step right before finishing is this shape here. And as you can tell, it's a cube that's propped up on one corner, balancing on one corner. And you can tell that the corner at the very, very top is directly above the corner touching the ground. A way you can verify that is by creating a line from the bottom aligned to the blue axis by pressing up or down. You can see that it's right through the top of this structure. And that's actually a very important way we're going to model it. So the first thing to do is just to create the original cube sitting on the ground. So with that, you're going to use a rectangle tool, and you're going to make a 10-foot by 10-foot square on the ground. You're going to lift it up 10 feet, and then you're going to go ahead and just make it a group. Now from here, you want to think about this motion as perhaps two separate rotations. One just to get the cube balancing on one entire line or one entire edge, and then we'll move it up onto a corner. And if you can imagine, the first rotation off of this bottom point here would just be a 45-degree rotation. But the one after that would not be exactly 45 degrees. So let's just do the first one for now. To do that, you simply use the rotate tool after having selected the cube. And you're going to specify one of the corners as your plane of rotation. And note that from that corner, as you slightly nudge your cursor, you can actually get rotations across all three axes, just depending on which side you sort of lean towards. And so in our case, it's going to be the most effective to rotate in the green axis. So once your cursor is showing that green protractor-like shape, then go ahead and click the first time. And then pick any reference point, and then start to move in the direction you want to move and type in 45, enter. So we've moved it once. Now that ability for the rotate tool to show you the possible planes of rotation worked very well there, but it's not going to work now if we wanted to rotate this cube in the direction we want it to now, because that vertical plane of rotation no longer exists in that direction. So here's a case of where, for rotating in complex directions, it'll be really helpful to create a guide plane, just like we've made guide lines before in the past. So what you're going to do is simply draw a line out from the point in which you want to rotate and just project it far out, somewhere easily accessible, where then you can create a small little shape of any type that will be exactly the plane of rotation you want. Just imagine once you use the rotate tool, you're going to do it on this plane right here, and it'll be lined up to the axis you want to rotate in. So that's almost all we need. One more thing is simply going to be this line we had created before, because it's going to be hard to know exactly what rotation to make once you've gotten the correct plane. But if you can just imagine pinching this corner once we get to that rotation and just pinching it up over onto the guide line, which would be just like this. And we don't have to type in a dimension, we just simply have to snap on to a guide line. So this is all we need to do the complex rotation we need. So you've got the cube selected. You're going to switch the rotate command. You're going to find a red protractor over here on the green endpoint I've selected. And that's exactly what the point of this guide plane was. Click once. And now your frame of reference is going to be really valuable here, because the best thing to snap onto is the corner which you eventually want to be facing straight up. And notice that even though I've hovered over the corner from what seems to be very far away from the rotation plane, it just knows what that means projected onto its own plane. So we can select this endpoint in the group, click the second time, and simply now snap onto anywhere along this line that we've created for ourselves. Of course, you could have also just snapped onto the line right here on the reference plane, but this is just sort of intuitively the easiest way to do it here. So that's just the final step you have to do there. And from here, you can get rid of all your guide points. And to get it to this point, as is shown here, well, the easiest way to do that probably is to edit the group, to cut it down to half of its size, typing in 5 feet. And then cloning this piece, moving it over, and now you've got two pieces. And from here, all you have to do is rotate this upper section exactly 45 degrees. If you need to grab a reference point for your rotation, you can create a guideline of any direction, but as long as you know where the midpoint is. And then from there, you can simply do that rotation 45 degrees and then delete your guideline.